you geeks! Thank you for joining me as I try to reverse engineer Stormlight from Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight archive and what it may tell us about investiture in general. This magic system is the most ingenious mix of physics, philosophy, and fantasy that it makes my brain happy. Today, we're looking at the sound of Stormlight.
Within the sound of silence.
Spoiler warning through Rhythm of War and Dawnshard in the conclusion. On Roshar, Stormlight is a light that carries a pure tone and is a natural occurrence, which of course carries supernatural implications, especially when consulting all my schoolmates from Athens. Their works, I've noted in other videos, seem to resonate strongly with Honor's natural philosophy and Roshar's investiture. Let's start with Navani's observations of Stormlight. Properties of Stormlight. Let's first consider Stormlight as a sound wave. From Navani's work, we know that each form of light has its own unique tone. Anciently, people used a 3-note scale. The tone that drew Stormlight was the first of the 3 notes from this ancient scale. And to a certain extent, each light acts like a sound wave. Stormlight has a resonance by which it may transfer between gemstones. If you can make the gemstone vibrate at a certain frequency, it will draw in Stormlight, regardless of the size of the gems placed next to it. Of course, real sound requires the tubes to be the same size to produce a resonance. When 2 different sound wave patterns cross each other, they interfere and cause beats. The titular rhythm of war is the concept of getting a space to resonate with the interference pattern of void light and stormlight, drawing both kinds of light, creating something new. The 2 tones moving toward one another step by step until harmony. The rhythms snapped into alignment. Heartbeats, drum beats, signals together. But Stormlight is not simply a sound wave. It's a light wave. Light waves carry sounds all the time. We just can't hear them. Here is a piece of solar panel connected to a speaker. Acting as an antenna, the panel picks up the hum of electricity running through the lights. With an incredibly focused beam, like a laser, you can apply tonal vibrations by hand with a tuning fork. Or you can pump music directly into the laser chamber, where all those photons get excited. Then they carry the tune across to the speaker. This will work with any kind of light, though the sound quality will not be as precise. This is my mother's favorite physics demo, and since you've now all sat through her class, I'm obliged to tell you you've earned Twizzlers, or as she calls them, sawed-off sections of laser beam. Knowledge of whistlers. Now that we've identified the properties of Stormlight in a lab, let's discuss where it occurs in the wild.
I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky.
As the series explains, Stormlight naturally occurs during a Highstorm. The storm was quiet and everything was purely dark. In that darkness, an enormous face appeared just in front of Kaladin's. The sphere suddenly burst to life in his hand, flaring with a sapphire glow. Every so often, a photo of above cloud lightning will appear on one Sando fan page or another, labeled Storm Spren. Those Spren do look like red lightning. The Spren escaped from its prison and spun around her, giving off a strange red light. Splinters of lightning sprang from it. Close! This is called a Sprite, a beam of plasma shooting upwards from the storm. They come in both red and blue. The first photograph was taken over Duluth in 1989 by researchers from the University of Minnesota, don't you know?
Oh, I see. A chance for Faramir, Captain of Gondor, to show his quality.
Let me tell you about those researchers. They were 2 grad students on a 4-man team trying to capture the Northern Lights. I don't know where the 3rd one was, but the 4th wasn't there because he was courting his fiancée at a physics teachers convention in Chicago. Please comment below to reassure my father that him not capturing a storm spren was probably for the best. The photo was taken at random. As I said, they were trying to capture the Northern Lights. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The analogy of sprites and spren are quite apt, beyond the visual comparison. For sprites also make music in the sky. The plasma bolts leap upward and crash into the Van Allen belts of the magnetosphere, which acts like a giant harp string. This is like plucking the bottom of a harp string, or a guitar string, I suppose. They're basically the same thing. The Van Allen belts are like the string which vibrates, sending radio waves down towards Earth that carry the sound of whistlers. People have been hearing whistlers for practically as long as radios have been around to pick up the noise. Whistlers are, of course, not audible to the human ear and invisible to human eyes. They are a pure wave, unlike stormlight, which is a wave and a substance. Yet both have striking similarities. To strike stormlight. But it is not mere bolts of lightning striking Roshar's magnetosphere that creates stormlight. No, it is Honor's intellect uniting the realms that creates stormlight, as we see at the Battle of Thalen Field. Dalinar thrusts his left hand to the side, plunging it between the realms, grabbing hold of the very fabric of existence, the world of minds, the realm of thought. He thrusts his right hand to the other side, touching something vast, the spiritual realm. He slammed both hands together and combined 3 realms into one. Honor's perpendicularity, a well of power that pierces all 3 realms. This convergence of realms and emission of light reminds me of the Paradiso, Canto 10. And it's more than the fact that Honor's number is 10. Canto 10 occurs in the heaven of the sun. Each layer of heaven occurs on its own sphere made from a new form of light. The sun is where Dante states that the 2 great wheels of the universe strike each other. Yes, 2. The first is the equator, which is not really clear to me in the text, but the notes in the book say so. This is the wheel of the natural world, which would correspond to the physical and probably cognitive realms of the Cosmere. The second wheel is the orbit of the stars.
Ooh, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
It's about journey! The wheel in the sky is also known as the zodiac, a circle controlled by angelic intellects as they contemplate the divine vision. See there the circle branching out from that cross, point obliquely, zodiac to bear the planets that satisfy the world in need of them. I think that the wheel of the stars corresponds to the spiritual realm. The wheels run just askew of each other, as things in the natural world do not always align with the divine will. But where they intersect, that is where the music and the magic happens. See the high wheels, gaze directly at that part where the one motion strikes against the other, and there begin to look with longing at that master's art. which he himself loves so much that his eye never parts from it. Percute, which translates as strikes, has a musical connotation that does not translate. It has the same root word for percussion, the snobby way of saying drums. The best family of instruments ever. But I digress. Dante is adapting Pythagoras' music of the spheres theory. I can't find any primary sources for these quotes, which irks me to no end, but here it goes. The music of the spheres theory states that if earthly objects such as strings or pieces of metal make sounds when put in motion, so too must the moon, the planets, the sun, and even the highest stars. As these heavenly objects are forever in motion, orbiting the earth, surely they must be forever producing sound. Pythagoras further states that the sound is inaudible to the human ear, but he infers that they come in the three aesthetically pleasing ratios of sound that can be heard in the natural world: 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. Together, these ratios form a harmony, a unification of multifarious composition, and the agreement of unlike spirits. The four numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, added together make 10, which is, for Pythagoras and Dante, the number of completeness, or dare I say, unity. Canto 10, where the wheels of heaven and the world strike, is where Dante finds his mind united, even in Italian. I so placed all my love in God that it eclipsed Beatrice with forgetfulness. She was not displeased, but so smiled that the splendor of my laughing eyes divided my united mind into a plurality of things. Dante's love of God, the divine, eclipses his love for brightness, Beatrice, the natural. The two loves are united and then divided to take in the multifaceted nature of wisdom. Yes, wisdom is faceted, like gemstones. In the court of heaven there are many jewels, and the song of those lights was one of them. The lights he refers to are souls who have united their natural will to that of the divine. Because of this unity, the souls glow, very much like the night's radiant. But there is an important difference between Dante's view of unity and what Dalinar achieved at the Battle of Thalen Field. Dante was speaking of a unified intent with the whole capital G God, where Dalinar can only unite with Honor's intent. True, it still strikes the divine realm and intones Stormlight, but a Highstorm falls short of the sun. It is a natural phenomenon bound to Roshar. The storm is just a sliver of a shard of infinity, not the whole infinity. And this is where we get into Dawnshard spoiler territory. Deep music from the dawn. As I've mentioned, Canto 10 occurs on the sun, which signifies unity.
You might as well be walking on the sun.
And we've seen a sun, or something like a sun, in one very important place already. Rizen's eyes were immediately drawn to the incredible mural that dominated the far wall. It depicted a sun being shattered into pieces. The mural was circular and inlaid with golden foil. It seemed to glow with its own light. That is Adonalsium, a whole infinity in the Cosmere. The sun is at the center of the Cosmere symbol, after all. And now Rizen has become a Dawnshard, a new type of investiture. But, I hear you say, what does this have to do with whistlers? That is more or less where this video began. Thunderstorms are one way to create whistlers, but not the only way. Whistlers are the sound of any electromagnetic wave. Waves like those emitted by the Van Allen belts of the magnetosphere in what is called the dawn chorus. Since we're deep in the school of Athens, it only makes sense we get a chorus.
Greek chorus!
Anywho, the electromagnetic dawn chorus comes with the dawn, like the bird song for which it's named. It is the sound of the Van Allen belts humming. The Dawn Chorus is bound to the Earth's atmosphere. What the Dawn Chorus has to do with Cosmere investiture and Dawnshards is not readily apparent, but I have a few guesses. First, of course, is the similarity to the name Dawnsingers, the prehistoric inhabitants of Roshar.
Curious. Very curious.
Secondly, I noted that Dawnshards are the 4 primal commands that created all things. The number of 4 is significant, not only as the square root of Adonalsium 16, but also as the number of numbers Pythagoras used in his theory of the music of spheres. But besides that, the Dawnshards are largely useless, just like the Dawn Chorus, unless they mix with another form of investiture. Risen is forbidden from bonding a radiant spren to keep the secret. My kin insist on 2 further terms, though. You must never bond a spren to become a radiant. Likewise, the Van Allen belts, the strings that hum to make the Dawn Chorus, do interesting things when struck by plasma. Sprites or plasma bolts that come from the world, but when plasma strikes from the heavens, we get
the Northern Lights.
It's at this point in the movie my parents would always pause to explain that the northern lights do not come from light refracting off the polar ice caps or glass bottles. If you watch my channel regularly, you might pick up that I have a thing for wolves. So I heard this lecture a lot. The lecture always began explaining about the solar wind, the plasma waves emitted by the sun. Yes, we're back to the sun. Dante was right. It's the center of everything. The aurora also carries sound that can be heard on the radio. Plasma waves emitted by heavenly bodies like the sun, I think, is the true music of the spheres which Pythagoras hypothesized so long ago. The music of the spheres acting in harmony that forged the universe. Sanderson has coalesced this music into investiture. I propose Dawnshards are the intervals at which the shards can act in true harmony. Additionally, Dawnshards might be the Van Allen belts. Besides having a song of their own, a Dawnshard would be able to direct and amplify the raw investiture into brilliant light shows. This fits with them being the command, directing, and intent. This points to my final theory that investiture is a sort of plasma that will easily travel through space. We know it does not travel well through the cognitive realm. Investiture manifests in many forms, tied to many places and many different gods. It is bound to a specific land, making it very difficult to transport through Shadesmar. It resists, but investiture can travel through a vacuum. Navani observed the void light floating out into the vacuum. It didn't act as air would have. It was not pulled out. Whatever void light was, it was an energy, a power. And space is a vacuum where plasma waves flourish. This would spur the Cosmere's space age. Why else would humans take the long way through space when they could walk through the cognitive realm? Money. And most important of all, this means that future windrunners can go
Surfing on a sound wave, swinging through the stars.
The space age is about to begin, and we'll get to see the shards amongst the heavens. I'm so psyched. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.